Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to look at dressing well, but maybe from an angle you haven't considered before. I want you to forget fashion, just for a second, and think about architecture. Great style isn't really about chasing the latest trends. It's about understanding the unique structure of your body and building a wardrobe that fits it perfectly.
But let's be real, a lot of the time, it just feels impossible, right? You've got a closet that's totally packed with clothes, but you still get that sinking feeling of having absolutely nothing to wear. How does that even happen?
Well, here's the problem. We're always handed this jumble of random rules. Oh, wear this, not that, or this color is in, that one's out. It's kind of like being given a huge pile of bricks and lumber, but with zero instructions. What we actually need isn't just a list of tips. We need a system. We need a blueprint.
Okay, this quote really gets to the heart of it. Professional tailors, the real experts, don't just see a body. They see a unique three-dimensional landscape. And that's our starting point. We're going to treat our personal style like an architectural project, starting with surveying the unique terrain of our own bodies. So let's kick things off with part one, your personal blueprint. I mean, think about it. No architect would start building without surveying the land first. We've got to understand the foundation we're working with. And this is where we get really objective.
So, the professional's tool for this is a science called anthropometry. It's a fancy word, but it just means systematically measuring the human body. So we can forget all those vague labels like curvy or athletic. This gives us cold, hard data about our proportions. The exact same information designers use to make clothes that actually fit.
So what does this data actually tell us? Well, it breaks down into 5 primary body archetypes. You've got the pear, where the lower body is a bit wider, the inverted triangle with that broader upper frame, the hourglass, which is more proportionally balanced, the rectangle, which is more of a straight silhouette, and the apple, with more volume around the middle. And I really want to stress this. These aren't good or bad. They're just objective geometric shapes. That's it.
So let's use the pear shape as an example. The goal here, from an architectural standpoint, is to create visual balance. You can do that by adding a little more volume or interest to your upper body, which naturally draws the eye upward. A common mistake is to do the opposite, to wear something that really highlights the widest part of the hips, which works against the body's natural lines instead of with. And we see the same idea here for the inverted triangle, just kind of flipped. The goal is to soften that strong upper frame and add a little volume to the lower half. So a common mistake? Wearing really thin spaghetti straps. By contrast, they can actually make broad shoulders look even wider. See? It's all about creating that sense of proportion and balance. All right, so now we have our blueprints. We know the terrain. Now we can move on to the fun part, the actual design phase. In this next part, we're going to talk about the 2 main tools that every architect of style uses to engineer a great look: color and line. Okay, tool number 1 is color. And, the color wheel isn't just for art class. It's basically a cheat sheet for getting dressed. Once you understand how colors work together, it takes all the guesswork out of it. You can create combinations that look really intentional, whether you're going for something bold or something more subtle. Now, if you want to make a big, high-energy statement, you go for complementary colors. These are the ones that are directly opposite each other on the wheel. Think about a really sharp royal blue with a bright pop of orange. It's super high contrast, and it grabs attention because those colors literally make each other look more vibrant when they're side by side.
But what if you're not going for bold? What if you want something more harmonious, more flowing? Well, that's where analogous colors come in. These are the colors that are neighbors on the color wheel, like blues, greens, and teals. Because they share some of the same base tones, they just blend together beautifully. It gives you a look that feels really sophisticated and put together.
Our second tool is line. The technical term is morphological engineering, which sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means, as this quote explains, is using the lines and shapes in your clothing to create a sense of harmony. It's about guiding the eye to the features you want to highlight. So how does that actually work? Let's go back to the inverted triangle. It's actually a pretty simple process. First, you could use a V-neck to create a strong vertical line that draws the eye downward away from the shoulders. Second, you pick simple sleeves, nothing too puffy, to soften that shoulder line. And finally, you add a little volume to the lower body, maybe with an A-line skirt. It's a simple 3-step strategy that is incredibly effective. So, we've got our blueprint, we have our design tools. Now it's time to actually apply all this stuff in the real world. Because great architecture has to work in its environment, right? And the same goes for great style.
A good way to think about dress codes is like they're the local building regulations for your wardrobe. Business formal is the most traditional. Think of it like a historic district with strict rules. Business professional is still polished, but with more room to be creative. Business casual is more flexible, and then casual is your relaxed, everyday zone. The point is, your personal blueprint has to be built to code for whatever environment you're in.
Let's put this all together with a real-world example. So, say someone with a pear shape needs to dress for a business professional setting. How do they do it? Well, they could wear a tailored blazer to add some structure up top. They could choose a blouse with an interesting neckline to draw focus upward. And they could pick dark, straight-leg trousers to create a nice, clean line on the bottom. You see? You're using your body's blueprint and the rules of the occasion to build the perfect outfit. Okay, we've got the blueprint, the design tools, and the building codes. Now we can finally talk about construction that's built to last. This last part is all about the golden rules for creating a timeless wardrobe that will work for absolutely everyone. But before we get to the rules, I want to make one thing really clear. This whole system, it's not about putting you in a box. It's not about creating a restrictive uniform. It's the total opposite. When you understand the architecture of style, you have the knowledge to build whatever you want with confidence. That's real freedom. So, what are these golden rules? First, invest in your foundational materials, those high-quality, timeless pieces that are the core of your wardrobe. Second, make sure everything is built to the right specs. Fit is everything. It's basically the structural integrity of your entire look. And finally, remember the most important part of any building is the confidence with which it stands. Wear everything you build with pride. So there you have it. We've gone through the whole architectural process, from surveying your own unique landscape to engineering with color and line, and finally, building for any occasion. You have the tools now. You have the knowledge. So the only question left is, what blueprint are you going to build?